Yeah, that's the one. Well, but this guy, you know, I mean, for whatever his sad reasons, he wants us to bomb us all back to the agrarian.
He's a control freak.
Yeah, well, he wants us all to live in yurts and to travel around, you know, in coracles, you know, and so we don't have the wheel anymore, and maybe we'll probably even be banned fire. We'll just have to sit around shivering in caves. This is the
well, actually, you know, Europe has been banning in some countries and putting taxes on fireplaces and space heaters.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I must say, one of my great pleasures in life is going to a pub, an English pub, and sitting outside where there is one of those outdoor heaters and
yes.
having a cigarette, which we're just about allowed to have in this country. But
and that puts out carbon, too.
Yeah, well, exactly. I like to do my bit, strike my tiny blow in the Great War for freedom. Yeah, but I mean, it is an odd scenario where you've got all these crazies going to the Copenhagen to protest in their polar bear costumes and stuff, and the people they're actually marching in support of are the most vicious form of capitalists you could possibly imagine. Now, I believe in the capitalist system, but I believe in the capitalist system that favors the little man, that favors the kind of hard-working entrepreneur, small businessman. What I don't like is corporatism. You know, I mean, this was exactly what happened under Nazi Germany.
It's a piratical system of looters.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is what happened under Nazism. Hitler allowed certain favored business concerns to prosper under his fascist regime. And this is exactly what's happening in the world now. Certain favored big businesses, which can afford to absorb the massive costs which are going to be imposed on us all by carbon trading and so on, these businesses are going to thrive. But people like you and me and your listeners are going to be screwed something rotten.
And those big businesses will pay their cut to the Hermann Goerings and Joseph Goebbels and Adolf Hitlers of today.
Yeah, I don't think these analogies are inappropriate either. I mean, you know William Crystal, who died recently, one of the founders of neoconservatism.
Yes.
He wasn't so interested in the great clash between you know, the Free West and the Soviet Union. What interested him far more was the war between liberalism and, I suppose, what you'd call libertarianism. Because I think he sensed that this was a much more subtle and dangerous war that was going on, because a lot of people don't realize it's happening. Because you know, that there's no evil Soviet empire trying to, you know, point its SS-20s at us anymore. People imagine that the great clash of civilizations is over. Actually, what's happened now is that we are fighting a guerrilla war of ideas against it's for the right of the individual to enjoy his liberty versus big government which wants to take our liberty away from us.
Which is allied with select global corporations that don't want a free market. They want a government that can deliver them monopolies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose when one starts talking about using words like conspiracy, people on the liberal left say, aha, you're just another conspiracy freak, you're making all this stuff up. I would say it's only 50% a conspiracy in that, for example, the people in the green movement don't share the same goals as people, you know, in big business who are making money out of it. What's happened is that a ragbag of different people just happen to have found a common theme whose ideals they share, but for completely different reasons. So you've got the Greens, who want us all to live in you know, mud huts and stuff, and restore the barter system, and abandon fun, and we'll just eat on, you know, raw leaves and give up meat and stuff. And then on the other hand, you've got the sinister big business interests who just wants to line their pockets. You know, couldn't be more different, but they have found a common cause, and that cause is AGW.
Well, here's the Greek Prime Minister, Bilderberg, at Copenhagen. We are observing the birth of global governance. And you link through, he made these quotes. It's in the official Copenhagen record. We have Herman von Rompuy, I could play the clip again, but I played it literally 30, 40 times, saying this is the first year of global governance. We have Ban Ki-moon in the New York Times, and an editorial he wrote saying the green movement is the funding mechanism for global government. We have Al Gore saying it. We have Gordon Brown saying it. They're all admittedly setting it up, but then when we say, okay, we don't want your global government, And again, here's the London Telegraph or Daily Telegraph headline saying there'll be nowhere to run from the New World Government. But again, they're trying to tell us that they're announcing this, but then we're not allowed to oppose it, as if we're so stupid they can announce global government, but then tell us it doesn't exist. What is the psychological tactic there of, say, Monbiot? I mean, just real fast, because you brought him up. Monbiot writes books, writes articles every few weeks, a new story. He signs petitions calling for a dictatorial world government to carry out environmental austerity. But then he writes articles attacking myself and others, saying we're lunatics and none of this exists. I mean, does he think we're so stupid? He has such disrespect for us? I mean, what is the psychological tactic there?
You know, in some ways, Alex, we are stupid. You know, just as in the 1930s, Hitler wrote this book called Mein Kampf, in which he stated explicitly exactly what his plan was. He hated the Jews, he hated the Slavs, he wanted to destroy the Slavic Untermenschen, he wanted a form of new world order with him, Adolf Hitler, in charge. How did people respond to this? Oh, he's just a sad little German Austrian in need of a bit more love. You know, we don't need to rearm against this guy. It's all going to be okay. This is the power of wishful thinking. People do not want to deal with a reality that doesn't suit them. And I think it's the same with this AGW conspiracy now. As you say, people, you know, the Club of Rome, various people have been very explicit about this. And this is, of course, the classic way fascist movements operate. I don't know whether you've read Jenna Goldberg's rather excellent book, Liberal Fascism. He describes how, in order for fascist regimes to take over, they need a crisis. And if that crisis doesn't actually exist, they need to invent the crisis. I mean, this is what you've got Rahm Emanuel saying as well, haven't you? Let's make it an opportunity of this crisis. And, of course, the idea that the world is going to end due to catastrophic man-made global warming is the best crisis you could ever imagine, which is why so many people have been gathering round this wonderful theme and working it up for all their worth, because this is their excuse they need. You know, this crisis is so important that it is far too important to be left to the people of the world's constituent countries to vote on the issue. It's so important. This must be taken away from the people, and it must be decided by experts from the United Nations. In future, they will take power, even over elected governments. They will.
And notice how they always say, in all their talking points, whether it's David de Rothschild or whether it's Ban Ki-moon, whether it's Al Gore or Gordon Brown, they always say the time for talk and debate is over. This is the way it is.
That's absolutely right. And again, that is a classic product of Nazism and fascism. It's all about action. Action now, because action means that you don't have to think about anything anymore. And of course, this is why Al Gore says in his propaganda, his Leni Riefenstahl type propaganda movie, An Inconvenient Truth, why he says that consensus has been reached, the science is settled. Because once you do that, you instantly pull the rug from those who say, hang on, the debate isn't over, hang on, let's talk about this, hang on, there's a few more facts that are slowly beginning to emerge, hang on, it isn't settled at all. If you say, act now, we must act now, we must stop thinking, you are overriding these people, you are overriding the arguments. And of course, as we've agreed, the arguments are not in these people's favor. The facts are not in their favor, which is why they try and ride roughshod over those facts as quickly as they can.
You're absolutely right. But again, I see the momentum beginning to shift against them. And before the last break, and we got cut off, you brought up internet censorship. Yeah. This is openly being announced globally. They're now even, Senator Jay Rockefeller has said, quote, we'd be better off never inventing the internet. They're now openly saying in Australia, oh, we're going to censor political views we don't like or people that leak things on WikiLeaks. We're now going to block this. They're really moving to do this. People better take them serious. Can you speak to that and how we block this completely, openly authoritarian, undemocratic fraud?
Well, there's two things at stake here. Alex, are you familiar with the work of the Italian Marxist thinker Antonio Gramsci?
Yes.
Gramsci, of course, was the guy who said that in order for the left to win the political war, it must first win the cultural war, and there must be a long march on the institutions. And so what happened is that little by little over the years, the liberal left captured the seats of learning, the universities, which are of course all left wing.
They had the long view of history.
Yeah, exactly. They took over the newspapers. They took over the schools. They took over every aspect. I mean, the music industry, pretty much every aspect of our culture is controlled by the liberal left.
But I wouldn't even call them liberal left. They're just criminals that call themselves liberal so they can be the bleeding heart and you're the bad conservative.
Well, call them what you will. The point is that up until very recently, until Al Gore invented the Internet, which I'm sure he's regretting now, until Al Gore invented the Internet, we didn't really have a way of expressing our dissent to all this.